The Origin of Here by Jeffrey Maitland. Two Zen monks were facing each other on opposite sides of a river. One called to the other,
"Hey, how do I get over there?"
The other monk shouted back,
"You are already over there."
"Here's the thing. Why is there something rather than nothing? How did you get here? How large is space? What is really going on here anyway?" Such questions are instantaneously mind-crumbling, leaving us with no idea how to answer. All we can say is that we just find ourselves inexplicably here. We don't know how we got here. We don't even know what this is or what it is about. We might imagine that we existed in some other place before our birth here, but we really don't know. Even if you were to manage to remember some past lives, it wouldn't help. After all, you wouldn't know how you got to these lives either. If reincarnation is true, how you get from one life to another is nothing, if not just as obscure. Going from one life to another bears little resemblance to going from one place to another. When I drove from Phoenix to Los Angeles, I remember packing the car, getting up early, driving out of the city, making stops, eating lunch, and finally arriving in LA. But I don't remember getting ready for the trip to this life. I don't remember going from one place to another, gradually or suddenly. I just found myself here in this life. I recognize that all this was here before I was born, and will be here after I die. I didn't create here. Here was already here. In fact, here is always here. The problem with being here is that we have no idea why we are here or even how to be here. Don't worry, God is always here. There is an easy answer to the problem of here. I got here just the way you and everything else in the universe got here. God created you, me, and all of this. The easy answer looks easy because all we have to do is believe without question in an unseen God. Add to the easy answer Nietzsche's insight that any explanation is better than none, and we have created for ourselves a hermetically sealed, unassailable position. But like so many easy answers, it just pushes the puzzle back one step, and we are left wondering how God got here. Assuring us that God was always here is no solution. In order to grasp why here has always been here and God hasn't, we need to look at the question of how anything got here in the first place. In order for anything to be created or brought into existence, it requires a here, or somewhere, where it takes place. Thus, if here were not here to begin with, it would have to be a here from which it created here. But how does a here that does not exist create for itself a here from which it creates here? Since creating here requires a here from which here could be created, here would have to be here before here was here. Thus, since such a situation is physically and logically impossible, here could not have been created. Here must have always been here. Uh-oh. God was not always here. For similar reasons, the all-powerful God of monotheism could not have created here. Remember, everything that is created or caused has to have a here where it was created or caused. In order for God to create, here would have to be here before here was created. To say it differently, in order to create here, God and here would have to have been here before here was here. Such a situation is physically and logically impossible. Thus, we must conclude that here has always been here. Since here has always been here, and God did not create here, we must also conclude that here was here before God was here. But if here was here before God was here, God could not have always been here. As answers go, the easy answer leaves a lot to be desired. Yet, our investigation yields a surprising result. God was not always here. But if God was not always here, that means his existence must have had a beginning. Since all things that have a beginning also have an end, if God exists, he must also have an end. Like all existing things, whatever has a beginning must have been brought into existence by one or more causes. But if God owes his existence to one or more causes and he has an end, he cannot be the unlimited super being adopted by the monotheistic tradition. In fact, he is far too limited to ever qualify as the God of monotheism. If he has a beginning and an end, he must eventually face his own demise, just as every other existing thing must. Therefore, to some extent, he must necessarily suffer just as we do. Clearly, the monotheistic God is not as advertised. At best, he probably has a slightly better understanding of what here is, how we got here, or what to do here. But because he is finite, because he has a beginning and end, he is not the God St. Anselm characterized as that than which nothing greater can be conceived. Nor is he the God that St. Thomas Aquinas said is the uncaused cause of heaven and earth. In short, the finitude we share with God guarantees that our problems with here are his problems with here. This limited being could never qualify as the God of monotheism. In fact, once it becomes clear that God was not always here, it also becomes increasingly obvious that the God created by monotheism does not exist. To put the point in the strongest of terms, the existence of an all-powerful being, such as the one created by monotheism, is quite simply impossible. The Big Bang is neither here nor there. If the theological, philosophical explanations are not adequate for making sense of here, maybe the scientific approach known as the Big Bang theory will provide us insight. According to this explanation, the Big Bang was the origin of the universe as we know it. But we have to wonder, where did the Big Bang go boom? You need room to boom. If there were no here before the Big Bang, there would be no place to go boom. No here, no boom. To counter this proposition, some say that as the boom expands, the teeniest of tiny heres also expand with it. Thus, in preparation for its own blooming, the teeniest of these tiny heres rooms out innumerable heres from within itself. The view that a hereless bang could room out little heres can never happen here because a hereless boom is an impossible boomless bang which thought can only grasp too late or too soon. Too much thinking about the impossible geometry of booms brings the process to an abrupt and painful stop, leaving us feeling lucky even if we only experienced one little mini pop. In contrast to the mini pop, kaboom does not get lost in everyday meaninglessness because it illuminates the opening where subject and object hold sway. Just as everything that comes into existence by means of a cause or a creator requires a here for it to come into being, the Big Bang needs somewhere with room to go boom. Where would that be if not here? Thus, here was here before the Big Bang went boom. No matter how big the boom, it could not have created here. Given that the boom can no longer zoom and the God of monotheism has lost the power to make us swoon, we need to redouble our efforts and get really clear about the depth of here. Conclusion. One man's here is another man's there. Here I am, and I want to be there. But when I get there, I am already here again. Here's to you. Here is where it's at. Be here. There, there. Here, here.